working. Oh, it's working. Hey, everybody. I was having some technical difficulties there. Thought I was going to have to start a whole nother chat, but it finally worked. See if I can find the chat. Technical difficulties there we go. All right. I'm back. I know Insight, he was having some problems. I think he jumped out and was having to jump back in. Can you hear me now, man? Nope. So we'll see what happens. I think Google's going through some changes, so we'll just have to see what happens. Yeah, probably have a few more people join before it's over with. But anyway, can you hear us now? I hope so. I'll let him see if he can get his difficulties fixed. Oh, we got it now. All right, so I'll let him do some intros. Anyhow, I got Warsaw Patriot here. You want to do an intro, man?
Sure. Lots not been going on recently. Just trying to come up with more content and come up with more videos for you guys. So yeah. I got a video that's coming up sometime next week. So just wait and see around that time period.
Okay, cool. I need to do more videos myself, to be honest. I've gotten lazy. You do it. You get it working this time?
We're back.
All right, go ahead, man. You want to do an intro?
Yeah. Hey, it's good to be on. Always good to hear whatever's going to come up in this chat. It's always interesting. Always something worth being on here to maybe talk about. So thanks for sending me a link, TR.
No problem. Yeah, we kind of jump around a little bit, but that's okay. When I first started doing the chats, I was used to being on kind of structured chats where it was just, we're going to talk about this subject and then this subject and this subject. Maybe not get to all of them, but that was kind of the deal, which was fine and dandy. But when I started mine, every time I tried to do that, we got sidetracked anyway. So I just said, hell with it. We'll just talk about whatever. I don't care if it's guns, prepping, a sale going on at a gun store, or politics. I don't care, you know. So, is there any subject anybody wants to bring up to start with that you want to talk about?
Insight, you got anything?
Warsaw, I thought you had something to give an update on the Pennsylvania thing.
Oh, yeah. So apparently in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, the hearing about the so-called assault weapons ban has been on a hold right now. So a couple months till the judge rules that it's unconstitutional and not against the Second Amendment. So yeah, just found out about it today.
It's always good to hear good news about gun laws. I know this red flag law that states are pushing, I won't say it scares the hell out of me, but it bothers me. It worries the hell out of me. I'll say that. Because it's like any other law. Just the law in itself is bad enough. I understand the intent. But the intent, I would say most states have laws that kind of mimic that already. They're just not enforced or used.
Mm-hmm.
And just like one of those shootings in Florida, there was all these red flags. You know, he had mental problems. The school wouldn't report any of his crimes. He was selling knives and drugs. But you know, just lists and lists. He was just killing fucking cats and dogs and all kind of stupid shit. He had mental problems, but because of a federal law that they would get funding cut if they reported any of it or allowed the police to arrest him when he committed a crime, that allowed him to keep on going. You know, I forget what town, but it was one of the ones where the kid had an AR-15 and shot the place up, whatever. But so, I mean, but the problem, anyhow, getting back to my point, the problem of it is once states or federal government passes a law, it's real easy for them to expand it, amend it, and just it's a foot in the door. That's what it is. It's a foot in the door.
Yeah, we had it floated around in Tennessee. There was a female House member from Knoxville and a female state senator from Memphis. Yeah, the same week floated out the red flag laws here back in March. Fortunately, as has been history in Tennessee, those usually they don't make it out of committee. So we've been pretty fortunate with that stuff here. But the fact that concerted effort was going on all over the country, and it wasn't happenstance. That stuff floated out pretty much within a 2-week period almost everywhere.
Yeah, like it was looked like it was getting some momentum in states, but they even floated it around in South Carolina. But then I hadn't heard anything else about it. You know, you would hope, at least in the conservative states, that they read between the lines and don't just pass it because it's a feel-good thing and it looks good on paper and it's got a good headline. And, you know, and a lot of times, a lot of the laws, I don't know if you guys follow Dan Crenshaw or not. If you know who I'm talking about, the guy, he was a Navy SEAL and he's a representative now in Texas. He's got the eye patch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I follow him on Facebook, and he does updates constantly. Look, this is what they're trying to pass now, and and he'll do quick videos and post them on Facebook. And like it had something to do with insurance or something. I don't know, just as an example. But the title of the bill sounded great. Like, yeah, this is, you know, to help such and such and such. I can't remember the details. But as he went through it and hit the highlights, it's like, there's not one thing in this bill that addresses anything that has anything to do with the title of it. But what it does do is it does this, this, and this, and this, you know. I mean, it was just backdoor legislation. If they just read the title and skim over it, oh, yeah, that's a good thing. This helps vets or something. But it didn't, you know.
And they do pass something.
But we're just a state that's mostly conservative and rural, with the exception of 4 major metropolitan areas with Chattanooga, Knoxville, Nashville, and Memphis. And Memphis, if they could reroute the Mississippi, I'd give it to Arkansas tomorrow. But Nashville's pretty quickly changed demographics over the last 10 years. Pretty darn quickly.
Pretty good. I'm sure I would imagine it's pretty liberal.
Extremely. Yeah, extremely. I mean, we've been fighting over mass transit things that would have shut the city down and shut small businesses down for a better part of a decade if they'd have put that rail system in they were proposing.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something like that. There's always some kind of greenway. There need more money. You know, there was an article about 2 months ago about the budget falling short because the police weren't giving enough tickets because the traffic's so bad. There's no speeding tickets that they used to give so many of. So, you know, I was like, that should never be a budget item anyway.
Yeah. I just tell you, fuck, Nashville's huge. I mean, I've never been to New York City and other places, but fucking Nashville's huge. People wise, and well, even square miles. That's a big fucking place.
Yeah, because it doesn't stop. You pretty much connect all the 5 surrounding counties, and it's all one big thing. And everybody commutes in and out from all these outside counties. So yeah, it feels even bigger than it is.
Mm-hmm. And there's one thing about Nashville that I've never seen anywhere else. It's probably many things, but one in particular, as far as the roads. I think you were trying to do a little population control. I can't tell you what road it was, but it was one I had to travel a good bit to get to Sonia's house. The roads, the highways there, or interstates, or whatever they call them, I guess, or whatever, when lanes end, usually they end on the far right or far left. There was one road there, 2 lanes merged into one in the middle of the fucking highway. What the fuck was that?
I'll tell you another thing we do is the roads change names. If you go around Nashville on them, there's 1 or 2 roads that literally change names 4 or 5 times if you cross across Nashville on it. It's confusing as hell to tell people how to get around here.
If you drive around there, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do, unfortunately.
Because you're driving along and it was like, what the hell?
That'll do it. We got one of the fastest growing counties is east of here. It's Williamson County. In 40, driving all the way over towards East Tennessee and stuff, goes from 4 lanes all of a sudden down to 2 right before you get to the major area that everybody's trying to commute to. And if I don't get out of town by like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I can sit in traffic out there. It can take me either 25 minutes to get to Lebanon, or it can take me an hour and 15 minutes. Just depends on what time of day I leave.
Yeah, when I was driving in, when I was going up there, I'd go in on most of the time on a Friday. So I would I wouldn't leave out. Anyway, I'd try to get there before rush hour, but going into Nashville on a Friday afternoon, getting close to rush hour, wasn't that bad. But the traffic coming out of Nashville, and like I was coming from Knoxville, it would be backed up for freaking miles coming out of Nashville. I was like, holy shit, never leave Nashville on a Friday.
And especially not on a football weekend in Knoxville. That'll double it up for you. We do a pretty good job with traffic control with potholes too. That'll slow you down going through Nashville.
Yeah, that'll do it, especially on interstate.
And I tell you what, I've seen there's places where putting that brine down 10 times this winter and we didn't get but a dusting of snow. There's places where you get in that one lane that they treat more than the others that had potholes big enough that there would be 4 or 5 cars lined up on the side of the road with blown out tires and stuff from hitting them. A few years ago, I was driving back out in my truck in standstill traffic, and I got caught in the one lane where the big pothole was, and my whole truck fit in the pothole when I came to a stop.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, that's not good. That'll warp a frame.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good time to be in the business of tire replacement and alignments most of the time here coming off of winters. There's Mario in the side chat. X-Ring Ray's out there.
Yep. Coda Boy's out there.
New Texican. Mm-hmm. He's heading to bed.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. That's no problem. That's the bad thing about doing chats on a Tuesday night. It's not a good night for a lot of people. That's just the way it worked out when I started doing them. Because at the time, trying not to step on other people's feet and being respectful to other YouTube channels, it was just one of the free nights. There was already a lot of weekend chats going on. Even Sunday night was a little bit tight for some people. Because most people had to go to work the next day.
So what's it like in South Carolina for demographics? Is Charleston pretty much in Columbia, or are those the 2 big kind of urban, more liberal centers there? Because
around Charleston's where we're at, there's a lot of liberals in that area, low part of the state. especially around Charleston. I think that's the concentration. Greenville is actually the most populated county in South Carolina, so it's getting there too.
So Clemson falls into that too. Is that?
It's near. It's a different county, but it's right beside us. But Greenville is the biggest, like I say, populated county. It's even more populated in Columbia, which is the capital, and Charleston, which is a big tourist destination, blah, 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 which is around where Pop's Quest lives. He's in that area. He has a lot of liberals there. Greenville's, the city is probably real liberal, but the county's still very rural and very country. A lot of farmland, a lot of cows, a lot of, people shooting guns. And it's a pretty, even though it's the most populated, it still is a red county right now.
Yeah. It's been a long time. I lived down there in the 70s, but I lived in Walterboro, which is closer to Charleston. Mm-hmm. So I was definitely coastal low country where I lived.
It has a lot. Well, I can't say it's true for all coastal areas, but a lot of coastal areas, at least in southern states, I would probably same in Alabama and blah, 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 is very tourism motivated. And it may be highly populated, but it's very poor areas. And just like Captain Shark just said, you got a lot of influx of Northerners. And they tend to bring their liberal ideas, even though they're escaping taxation and over authority. They come down here and other southern states and, well, we need more taxes. They just passed a gas tax this past year or this year. And it was a resolution on the ballot, and we voted no on it. No, hell no, you ain't raising their taxes. Their excuse was for roads, and we got the cheapest gas, one of the cheapest gas taxes in the country. And it's like, yeah, and we should be proud of it. Because all you're doing is throwing more money at a problem you're not going to fix. And that's proven to be true.
Yeah. And usually those departments of transportation run on a spend all you got or you won't get more next year. So they figure out creative ways to spend it so they can get more in their budget for the following year.
Absolutely. And people are starting to wake up to it now, and they didn't read all the fine print. If you got hybrid cars, your fucking property taxes double because they figure you're not using as much gas, so they got to get it from you somehow. And they're like, whoa, wait, and like I say, we voted no on it. And the governor actually vetoed it. He wouldn't, like it went through the House and all that, the state House and Senate, and the governor vetoed it because it had there was no restructure of the DMV, this mishandling the freaking money to start with. And it's like, if there's not going to be some kind of restructure or figure out some accountability, I'm not passing it. And so they overrode them in a vote and passed it anyway with no, all the problems the DMV's got and whatever. It's like, okay, we're just going to give you more money to misspend.
Yeah. Yeah, we got them around here. We've always had governors that figured out to make these super roads to nowhere, usually somewhere where they would have a resort home or something like that. We've got them all over the state. And they're in the middle of nowhere. Big contracts.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
There's corruption in all the governments, and there's some that's pointed it out, like the construction company that gets most, if not all, the road jobs for their major roads and what have you. His brother-in-law gets the contract for all the signs that's put up, and then his is just like all, I mean, come on.
Yeah. I was reading this morning and listening to some stuff about that super train, the California super train, and the budget on that, and Trump basically saying he's pulling funds and going to make them pay back this some of the misspent funds that have been set on there because they're not going to meet the deadlines. There was federal grant money, put towards it, and I forget it was he's asking for 72 billion back or something like that based on them not meeting deadlines. Stuff like that. You just wonder how in the world they come up with that as being something that's going to ever do anything other than suck more money out of that economy.
They've all but abandoned it, hadn't they?
Yeah, they're still building it, but I think they said that they've shortened the length of the overall track. Some of the track's going to be regular rail and not high-speed rail that they say can be updated later, but they're still looking, I think it was 2029 projected completion or something like that, which is over whatever they originally established on there, not to mention the overage in funds too. The overage in funds was up in that 70-80 billion dollar range too, and they were finding all kinds of things where things were billed and paid for that were never done. I think people are starting to kind of pick it apart a little bit now. That stuff never makes money, ever. Just becomes something that's going to burden the taxpayers.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, last time I heard, I thought they had pretty much abandoned it. I didn't know that it was actually still plugging along, wasting money.
Well, I'm assuming that it's still going if Trump's asking for some of the federal dollars back. So, yeah. Wish we could depend on him for everything. Wish I had a strong sense that he had a real constitutional 2A side to him. I don't, but fiscally, he plays hardball for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happier with Trump than I thought I would be. I thought he would do a good job, but he's doing way better than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
And the better he does, and as forceful as he is on his opinions, I like him even more. I mean, I knew he was kind of that character, but you didn't know what he was going to do once he got in office, whether he was going to kind of just try to play along with everybody, or was he just going to keep on hammering just like he does in business, And luckily for us, he's doing the biggest problem with it. I can understand the Democrats just being full fucking retard about everything he does or says. What's disappointed me the most is how the Republicans aren't supporting him.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, he's definitely not in the house when it comes to the big bulk of them, for sure. He's really kind of he's a lone wolf, I don't think he cares as long as he's getting stuff done. I don't think he cares if anybody's in his corner or not. It'd be easier if they were. Think what they could have done for 2 years if they would have gotten in his corner.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Now, who is this supposed to be?
This is Mr. Chow. Hello, nice to meet you.
Didn't give crap.
Mr. Chow, come to
They
tell
really
you
should be
something.
embarrassed. They should really have a hard time selling to the voters that they have any concerns when they don't take advantage of opportunities. But I think as long as I've been, I was able to vote in the first Reagan election. And as long as I've been following politics, I have always felt with that one brief period where we had the contract with America, that we play behind the 8 ball all the time. And I know part of that is that when you've got the media in your pocket, it makes it impossible to get out from behind it a lot of the time. But they show very little effort. I think they're comfortable in the position of being behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
Mr. Chow here to tell you something.
A little
Go right
large.
ahead.
To the root, gay boy.
Somebody gone.
Oh, what the hell he's doing. I sent that link out, but anyway. I didn't get hacked. Yeah, when the I was kind of distracted there. When you talking about like when we had the what else? They called that something when we had the was it? They didn't call it Young Republicans. They called it something else. Was it?
Under the Newt Gingrich leadership?
Yeah.
I can't remember. All I can remember is the contract with America was the big push that they had.
Yeah.
Milcirc Mike's, it's no secret that plain and simple, just not a Trump fan at all. I agree with him on the 2A stuff. He's let me down on that, but I can't argue with the economy doing like the economy's doing and him promising what he's promised on that end. But I know where he's coming from. So,
well, on the 2A thing, you got to remember I don't know if he was born in New York, but I think he was. But he's lived in New York for a long time. Just not a 2A background, and not that that's an excuse, but I'm not trying to give him excuses, but he never claimed to be a constitutionalist. He's never had a background as a constitutionalist. He was just a businessman. But I didn't like the bump stock thing. I didn't. But like I said, I did a video on it. I'm surprised it hadn't been attacked already. I'm surprised that they allowed it when they reviewed it to start with, that it was allowed, to be honest with you. So it doesn't mean that I'm not upset about it, but I don't think that makes him anti-gun, because he's not a shooter. He don't understand, I know it don't make it right, but
And to add to that, TR, Trump only did that because the people want to leave him alone, saying, "Hey, ban the bump stocks, ban the bump stocks." That's the only reason why he even passed it, just so that people would leave him the hell alone. And even he admitted, if a law enforcement officer catches you with it or anything, not a lot of law enforcement are actually going to enforce it. It's unenforceable.
Yeah, how many raids have you heard about them going after the however many hundreds of thousands or millions of them that's out there? None. Probably don't want to take it to a range. I didn't ever buy one because I thought it was a damn novelty item to start with.
It's an accessory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe he's pretty smart. I don't believe that he was suckered in any way by the NRA, although I do think the NRA has done their fair share of damage to our gun rights throughout the decades. But the red flag stuff is really kind of a huge noose around his neck for me too. I just don't understand how there can't be a logical, this is just stupid, can't you see the problem with it? I mean,
well, it's the people, and they should never. This is true probably in about any kind of decision that you make in your own personal life, is don't make judgments or in decisions in the heat of the moment and with emotion. If you're using emotion to pass laws or bouncing that, well, okay, I'll do this because of this, but you didn't think it out logically, the downfalls, the upsides, and all that stuff. But like I say, you get these school shootings, they're breathing down his neck. And for all we know, somebody brought up the point to me one day, for all we know the consequences of not doing that could have been a lot worse. We don't know what was leveraged against him. Okay, I'll give you this morsel if you leave that alone. I don't know that didn't happen, because that's what he does, is back, deals, wheeling and dealing, I'm not saying he did, but just remember, Republicans have taken away probably more of your gun rights than any Democrat has so far.
Go ahead, Warsaw. Sorry.
I said true that. Go ahead.
You agree with that? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
But go ahead, Insight.
I just sit back all the time and I wonder if most of the stuff that you see or hear from the president is like he's always done, sleight of hand. He's really good at floating things out there. He's really good at, well, he did it masterfully with all the Republicans running against him. He gets them basically picking apart each other. You know, he's good at starting things and getting things going and then being able to step aside and let something kind of take care of itself. And then he did that throughout the whole election process. You know, when everybody was doubting that he ever had a chance all the way up to the very end, he's masterfully picked apart one after another. And then when he got done with the ones picking each other apart, he finished them off. He finished off the ones that were left. You know, and I wonder if he's not employing that tactic in almost everything that he does. And whatever we see, I never know if it's real or if it's part of the plan to come about something else. So he blows me away at how he gets things done. I am disappointed about a few things, but again, I wish he would really get behind draining the swamp. I wish he would really do something strong about the deficit. I wish he would, get on to some of this budget stuff and fight tooth and nail and say, hey, what you're doing isn't working. We got to get this going the other direction. The economy's strong. Let's start getting rid of this deficit. I wish we would see some of that stuff. Just not seeing it right now. But he is appointing judges.
Yeah.
District judges.
To his, and this is for any president, there's only so much the president can do. He can't make law. He can do executive orders, but executive orders technically is just you ordering people to do shit. It's not making law. That's why he can do a lot with EPA and reducing restrictions and stuff like that. You know, like we took away a lot of burden of businesses and stuff to, he can do shit like that. But when it comes to the actual laws written on the book, not EPA shit, not whatever XYZ, organization here and there, he has power over them fairly direct. But as far as the law written on the books, there's only so much he can do. And that's true. Like I said, it's true with any president. That's the way it's set up. He's not supposed to be able to change law.
Apart from that, I wish most of our law enforcement would say, hell no, we're not going to enact any of this stuff that you're passing through. Like, the whole country, I wish I would actually say that to them.
Yeah. Well, and there's been some, not enough, but some. What was the ones? There was a bunch of them. I don't know. There's a sheriff's group that a lot of those have, and I can't remember what states it was. I won't say some of them were in California, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I've read stories about some in Washington State, and I've read stories about some, I know early on in North Carolina when there was some floating around of some of the stuff there was several groups that came out against what was going on as a group, as a fraternal order of police. I
can't say some. Well, right now the one in Greenville, he's a fill-in right now. But the next county over to me, Spartanburg, the sheriff there, he's a pretty pro 2A guy. A couple of years ago, a lady got raped in a park in broad daylight. He grabbed her and drug her in the woods or some shit. And he was on like the news. There was, police report, public thing, news, whatever the hell they call that. And he flat out told, he said, ladies, we have a concealed weapon permit. availability here in South Carolina, y'all need to go get your pistol. You need to get trained. You need to get your concealed weapon permit because we can't be everywhere at once. You're going to have to defend yourself. He's that kind of sheriff.
Yeah, smart man.
Smart.
Yeah, we don't have that in Nashville. Nashville's sheriff's department's nothing more than a warrant serving department. They don't really do much anymore. The Metro Police is pretty much it in Nashville now. That's nothing but a political position, and literally all the sheriff's deputies do are serve warrants and stuff.
Yeah. I like to say is the cities get bigger cities, for whatever reason, they tend to be very liberal, attract liberal people for whatever reason. Even the little town I don't live in the city of Travelers Rest, but I live near it, and they've spruced it up and they've made it really nice. Don't get me wrong, it is really nice, but it has become a yuppie magnet. I don't know if everybody knows what a yuppie is, but that's what we called them back when I was in high school. That's your little preppies or whatever the fuck y'all used to call them. And even the adults, they're riding their little bicycles and their little fucking spandex shit. Looks like they drive for the fucking France fucking team or some race team or some shit. They're all over the place, and these little breweries and stuff, which don't get me wrong, it's nice. I can go just a few miles up the road and there's some nice restaurants and shit, but just eat up with fucking yuppies. That's what I call them.
Yeah, millennials have some incredible expendable income for some reason. Nashville's, the condominium downtown living, I can't even imagine at that age being able to afford what those people are living in. Yeah. And the jobs that they have, good night. I've had clients in their 20s that are, they're spending stuff with me, improving their sites. I'm doing designs and people are putting $85, $150, $200, $225,000 into improvements to their home site. I'm like, at that age, I'd have been doing good to scrape up enough money to buy $125,000 home, not do improvements to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the corporation I work for, the company, it's a corporate company. They keep expanding. It's like they just keep coming up with jobs for people, and they hire these young people. They got a college degree or whatever, but it's like they make up a position for them. I don't know how much they're paying them. More than they're worth, I guarantee. It's all these 20-something-year-olds, and it's like it's a corporate attitude that we're going to take care of our own. So I'm going to hire his son. This guy, his buddy's got a son that just graduated. We're going to hire him and make up an engineering spot for him because he just finished school, and pay him some crazy damn salary. And it's just like, because on the way to work, I passed by all these housing developments that's popped up in the last 12, 13 years since I've been working there. There was only a couple to start with. And I'm sure y'all see it. They take a cow pasture, they wipe that thing clean, flatten it out a little bit, pop up houses you can jump from roof on, and they're $300,000 houses. I'm like, who in the hell's buying all these damn $300,000 houses?
Yep. And in Nashville, tearing down $300,000 and putting a $500,000 to $1 million home on the site where there was a $300,000 site, or two of them.
Yeah,
that's been the big thing here in the last 8 years, is them buying up these old, blue collar homes in the questionable parts of Nashville, and all of a sudden you got 2-3 story houses that you can reach out the window and knock on your neighbor's house with, and then they're wondering why the congestion's getting worse.
Yeah. That, like I say, my little route to work is kind of a back way, and it's like I said, 13 years ago it was all cow pastures in a couple neighborhoods. There was a couple schools there already, and now it's just neighborhood after neighborhood, and it's a 2-lane road, and traffic's backed up in the mornings, and I had to get to work at least 30 minutes early or I'm going to be late, because I can get all the way but up to about 2 miles from work, if not a mile. And if I try to hit it like 10 minutes before I'm supposed to be at work, I'm going to be there 30 minutes. And that's the back way in. But, oh well.
Well, I grew up down in the latter part of my high school days and stuff down in Williamson County on the south of Davidson and Nashville. And even back then, it's always been a beautiful old historic. Battle of Franklin was one of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War. It's got all the old homes that have, cannonball holes in the brick side of the house, of the buildings and stuff. And, it's just really a nice old historic Southern town. And they have always guarded it. They've guarded the old farming look of it, the huge farms that are owned by really about 2 or 3 different people. And for a long time, there was large sections like off the old Natchez Trace and stuff that cuts through the county where they had established 7-acre lot minimums to build houses on. Well, that case got taken all the way to the Supreme Court back in the 80s based on it being discriminative against low-income families. And ended up whoever took them against ended up winning that case. Now Williamson County is just blown up with all these little cluster communities everywhere. Other things changed after that. Saturn plant came in down on kind of the south end of the county down Spring Hill, and you talked about that northern influx. Saturn, Nissan, all of those things that started popping up around Nashville really started changing the climate in Nashville pretty quickly when all that stuff happened. You started bringing in a lot of these northern automotive workers and stuff. So, and it also made Nashville a hockey town, which I never saw is something that would ever happen. Never. To this day, that still shocks me.
Yeah, that threw me off too. I have to admit. And just in case anybody hadn't noticed, Donald Trump is in the audience out there.
Awesome.
He said he took me off the FBI watch list. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that.
Hey, to your bring up subject, did you hear about that shooting that happened in Colorado a couple weeks ago?
Not sure.
It was STEM high school, I believe it was.
Oh, it was one with the transgender and the other one. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yep.
I think one kid died and 8 injured.
Yeah.
The kid rushed him, right? Is the kid that ended up dying was the one that rushed the shooter?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about that event, it was that they actually kicked out the media and all that for politicalizing and all that. I'm happy for them. Yes, it was a tragedy, but also dibs on them for getting rid of the left media and Moms Demand Action, all of them out of there. Just get the F out.
Yeah, that was a good move. They might not have done it for the political reason we would see it and saw it as, but they did it for the right reasons because they was trying to politicize their grief and the tragedy and making a political statement. And
exactly,
that was good of them. I was glad to see that. I'll be right back. Y'all take over.
Hey, Warsaw, where was that in Colorado? I don't even remember exactly where it was.
I'm going to look it up right now.
And, I guess I did hear some about it, but you didn't hear as much because of probably them taking that action and keeping the media out of there, which is okay. Because, what the media does is just speculate, and then the story isn't really reality anyway. So they run with it and turn it into something usually that it's not.
I mean, the thing too is most of the media is just lying and just making an agenda about some viewpoint of theirs and just lie about the whole topic to all people. Can't trust them anymore. Let's see.
Yeah, I read a little bit about it, but it was early on, and it was mostly the article about the young man that charged the shooter and basically stopped everything. It was kind of a tribute to him was what I read on it, but I didn't hear much about it. don't really watch any news. Most of what I do, I read and read online and stuff. So.
Yep, the shooting happened in Highlands Ranch, Colorado.
Okay.
But yeah, that kid was a patriot. He sacrificed his life. You know, it was sad and a shame for him to die like that. But he did sacrifice himself for his other students to, you know, save others that were out there.
Yeah, and they're starting to see that a little more and more. There was another one, I forget. They're coming. I won't say common, but there's more and more of them. But the thing is, almost every one of them now are being stopped short of what they were trying to do. One of the last ones I seen, a coach or a teacher rushed a student, and I'm not sure that there might have been somebody injured. I don't think anybody got killed in that one.
Oh, that was the one where the father came into the school and had a gun, and I think the RSO caught him and took him outside and wrestled him to the ground.
No, it's different.
Different one.
Now, the one I was thinking of, it was a girl. And she went into a class or something, but she was acting really weird. She had a long coat on, or whatever you call it, you know, big long black coat. And she was acting weird or funny, so that she already had attention drawn to her. And when she went to pull the gun out, the coach or teacher or whatever he was, like, tackled her. And I don't know that she even got a shot off.
I'll say this: they've definitely changed policies here in the county where I live, and the RSOs that we have, at least at the middle school and the high school, are sharp. They're good men, and I can see them laying themselves on the line for something like that. They're good guys. I enjoy talking with them when I'm in the school. Won't have anything like those guys down in Florida that basically hid behind the wall while everything was going on.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, a lot of police departments, I think they're retraining and retooling themselves to realize you can't wait till it's over, or can't wait till there's backup. You got to rush them. And anybody was, even me as a CB, I wasn't a assault division, but we were trained defense and offensive tactics and carried guns and all that shit. And one of the things you're taught in an ambush, you rush the ambush. You don't run from it. I mean, it's no different. Kid showing up in a college or adult, whatever, with a gun, it doesn't matter if you're out armed. Your best chance for survival is to rush them. Period. And I still believe that. They was talking about, they had one of our training things that worked the other day, and they got into terrorism, you know, or active shooter. I guess I shouldn't say terrorism, active shooter. It's like, okay, guys and gals, what are you going to do? And it was like wanting them to find cover and this and that. And I was like, I'm going to rush them. In a couple of
SoCal says that we need to have new training, how not to be a shitty cop.
Damn straight.
Unfortunately, there are some. And you have that with every profession.
Well, they took an oath though.
Mm-hmm.
They swore an oath to protect the innocent.
Yeah, but that's been proven in court that
they don't have
police do not have to protect your life.
Yeah,
it's a shame though.
Ball brings up a point about the kids doing stupid shit. Their parents should be charged as well.
Well, now getting back to the one you were talking about, Warsaw, where the kid rushed him and got killed and died. And one was a transgender, the other one was whatever. One of them's parents, and I think it was the one that pulled the trigger, but I could be wrong. It could have been the other one. because I'm even vague on a transgender. I don't remember if it was a girl trying to be a boy or a boy wanting to be a girl. One of the two, whichever one. But one of them's parents was an illegal alien and had been deported like 8 freaking times.
Really?
Yeah.
Shocker.
I don't know which one's parent it was, but one of them's father was an illegal alien that had been deported several times, 6 or 8 times, somewhere around in there. And supposedly the gun was bought legally, but the kid stole it because in that state a kid couldn't
Purchase one.
Yeah, couldn't purchase one for sure. But they stole it from the parents or whoever. So it's like, that's why it didn't fit the narrative altogether, because it was Trump hate. Both of them were Trump haters. One of them was transgender. They stole the gun. It didn't fit any of their narratives, because it's like, what law would have stopped this?
None.
Yeah. You know, we've talked about it before. Laws don't really stop any crime. They're just a punishment for when you commit what society has deemed a crime. We're saying this is bad. You can't do this. The law itself doesn't stop it from happening. It's just a punishment for doing it.
I mean, same example like prohibition, when people were still smuggling in, alcohol, and they still bought it.
Yeah. Look at fucking drugs now in America.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true and everything. Traffic laws, I don't care what it is. The law itself don't stop you from doing it. It's just, okay, you ran the stop sign, hit this lady. Since the law is you got to stop at the stop sign, and you didn't, there's what I can charge you for doing it. Yeah. And it's the same with everything.
Exactly. Swamp rat.
Just looking at.
Mill serve Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of them here lately, but like I said, there have been just 1 or 2 people hurt, or 1 or 2 people killed, or nobody killed. It didn't fit the narrative. It wasn't a, racist right-wing guy with a rebel flag that shot up the whole school. If it don't fit the narrative. Hell, they talked about that kid in DC. Well, he was in DC at the time with the MAGA hat that was smirking at the Indian. They talked about that shit for weeks and how bad that was. Even then, they found out the Indian is the one that provoked the kids and walked into them and got in their face. And then this transgender shoots somebody in a school. They talk about it for a day or two and then shut up. Didn't fit the narrative. We got to talk about this MAGA kid. This kid's a Trump supporter. How dare him? We're going to dox him. We're going to make sure he don't get into college. Just on and on and on. It's crazy.
Yeah, even threats against his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Milsurp Mike brings up a good point. The ones that actually rush those people are the ones that we need to be remembering their names.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't remember the names of the shooter, because, yeah, you're right. They don't need to be made famous.
Honestly, I don't think they deserve to be remembered.
Mm-mm. They don't.
So you mentioned that we have a lot of these, and I'm not going to play into the media that we're having whatever 325 a year, or whatever they want to say, mass shootings, whatever Bloomberg wants to float out there as a statistic, but we're still not talking about mental health.
No.
Still not. And almost without fail, these cases go back to some extreme mental health issues over and over again, and an over medicated young society. You know, and go through the side effects, of all those medications. And, you know, anybody who's been on any of those medications know that basically the doctors are fiddling around trying to come up with the right mix of things on everybody. You know, it's never just one thing. It's usually a combination of drugs, and it's such a fine balance that it takes them a while to get it to where they say it's right. So we're not going to talk about that because our government basically shut down mental health.
Well, if not everyone, it's almost everyone, but best I can remember, every one of them was medicated and had been medicated. I mean, most, from what I understand and see, from elementary school up, they're trying their best to drug almost every kid. Little Johnny's misbehaving. Yeah, he's got ADD. You need to get him on some meds.
Yeah, Two Monkey said if you read the warning label, you won't take it, and that's pretty much true. If you know, we grew up in a time when we didn't have drug ads every commercial break on television.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was unheard of.
Heck, if you can't have some kind of named syndrome for everything that happens in life and have a medication for it these days, and they're going to throw it out there. Well, this will cure that little skin irritation you have, but you may develop pancreatic cancer or whatever it is.
Yeah, you listen to them. If you pay attention, and I know people make fun of them and stuff, I do, but it's like they do a ad. Half the ad is about how good this is and what it can do for you. And the other half is in the background, freaking list a mile long. It'll give you, it could cause diarrhea, could cause fatigue, could cause death in extreme cases. It may cause depression. Contact your doctor if you have suicidal thoughts. You know, I mean, just on and on. And literally, that's what they say. It's like, holy shit, you're taking this pill for what? Oh, your knee hurt, and now you might get the shits and want to kill yourself? I think I'll limp.
Two Monkey said chronic masturbation.
Damn, I need to get off that damn medication. That's what's fucked wrong with me.
Speaking of that, you heard of a guy named Dan Bilzerian?
Dan Hill, who, what now?
Dan Bilzerian, famous poker player.
So. Oh,
he's
no,
a billionaire and a poker player. But anyway, he was just partying, hanging out with friends and all that. But he actually took 200 milligrams of Viagra. He wasn't erected. He took another bunch of it and then had cocaine on top of that. Then he had like 4 or 5 heart attacks in a row. I had to go to the hospital. The guy was crazy doing it. Look the story up.
Sounds like the 80s all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Suicide by heart on, damn.
You didn't die, but I mean, still, like, you're crazy, man.
If you have an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, please call your doctor.
Yeah.
No, man, once you get started and you see it with the old folks, the parents and the grandparents and the 50 pill bottles where they're taking one thing and then they got to take something else to counteract that, and then this, that, and it all keeps adding up. You got to really question how effective a lot of that stuff is. Now, I know that there's some good pharmaceutical things that really do work, but there's a lot more out there that probably are unnecessary. We've just gotten to where we're too dependent on that stuff for everything.
Well, I know I'm not a health nut by no means. I'm sitting here smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, but there's probably a few things that medicine can actually help. But for the most part, medicine only hides the symptoms, makes you able to live with the problem. It doesn't actually fix the problem. even if it kind of fixes the problem, it causes, like say, side effects. And the things I have learned about drugs, they're all synthetic to a certain degree. They may be some of the opioids that's actually got the opioid in it, but there's a lot of synthetic product. Most medicines are synthetic, and your body rejects it. That's where you get the side effects. Even say you want to take vitamins, you want to take vitamin C. Unless you pay the high dollar and get the organic shit, you're getting you're getting a synthetic vitamin C. For your body to absorb whatever the recommended amount is, you probably having to take 100 times what it is to get the effect of. Say you need 100 milligrams a day, you have to take 1,000 milligrams because your body's rejecting that synthetic drug. And it's just not a good thing. I'm not telling anybody not to take medication. It could be saving your life. I don't know, but I'm just saying, instead of addressing the problem and trying to fix the problem, they're masking it with a pill. Oh,
So
your back hurts. Take this. Well, maybe your spine's out of line. Maybe we need to fix that.
So let's say I've got my assumption that we have a majority medicated society.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that passes through and goes into sewage systems and back into the ground through septic tanks or into the water treatment system? And how much of it doesn't get removed completely by water treatment and things like that?
They're finding cocaine and I forget what else they said. Other trace amounts of other drugs, prescription drugs and stuff, and fish in the fucking ocean. That's how much.
You're just dumping it into the ocean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going through your body. Like, say, your body's rejecting it. So you're past, some of it's not really processed, and it's just going into the toilet, peeing or whatever, plus what just gets dumped. Oh, this is out of date. However else it's getting there. But yeah, it's in the water system.
Well, and your body eventually is going to work it through kidney, liver.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually some amount of it's going to come back out through your pee.
Yeah, exactly. Your body don't really process everything, even good stuff. Unless you just starving yourself, you're not really processing every little morsel of, food, much less synthetic drugs that your body's trying to reject.
Yeah, Milsart might kind of he hit on the fact that with that, short of reverse osmosis, you can't get that out of the water. I kind of was hinting at that anyway, because my best friend, when he was working on his master's environmental engineer, he was that was media filtration was kind of his master's thesis, and we got to go look at those nasty treatment plants and dig through the media and see what kind of interesting stuff you find in the media. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's amazing what a sewage system will carry.
Yeah. Well, think about all the syringes just used for heroin. And heroin's such a big epidemic now. Yeah, they're shooting it up, but the residue that's left in the syringe, at some point, it's going into a landfill or down a toilet, a sewer drain, or a road drain, and there's residue in there. I mean, it's there. And eventually it's going to build up.
Yep. Speaking of that,
they're finding Roundup in lakes in like freaking South America and Africa and shit. It's like secluded in top of a mountain, a little small lake, natural lake. There's like nothing above it. Nothing could contaminate it. And they're finding Roundup in it because it's getting brought up in the atmosphere and rained down all over Earth, and it's trace amounts, but it's there.
That makes sense. I didn't realize that Mike worked in a water treatment. That's his thing. So that's good. Thanks, Mike.
I mean, speaking of sewers, I mean, I've seen some videos where they actually found actual alligators in the actual sewers.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to start talking about Democrats again.
Nope. Hell no.
Well, you mentioned sewers.
Red wants to talk about Trump, guns, and life. I would have surprised you. I want to talk about tomahawks and knives.
I've been watching his videos. It's really impressive what he's doing.
Yeah, it is. Don't mess with Red, especially if he's in a home improvement store close to the tool area.
Yeah, Zeus says everyone on the planet has Teflon in their blood, even newborns. I don't doubt it. Like I say, Alice, yeah, Teflon's good. I've been avoiding Teflon pans for a long time.
You cast iron all the time?
I had a cast iron. I like the ceramic stuff that's out nowadays. That's good stuff too, I think. But that was even years ago. Once I started hearing controversy about it and looking into it a little bit, it's like, yeah, that's probably not good. So I avoid it. I even avoid microwaves. I use microwaves. The only way I can heat up food at work is a microwave. So I can't avoid it 100%, but at home, I don't use them, or very, very rarely. Let me put it that way.
You put a hazmat suit on, throw it in there, and then run out of the room?
No, probably. Well, the bad thing is it radiates the food. I mean, it is a form of radiation. Microwave is a form of radiation. They don't call it nuking your food for no fucking reason. Russia just recently, in the last few years, started allowing them in their country. You couldn't have a microwave in Russia.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I love those workplace microwaves. They're usually really nice and clean too.
Yeah.
Looks like somebody blew up a head inside of it.
Yeah. I'm not saying they're the worst thing in the world, but it is one of those. I try to avoid, like I say, I'm not a health nut, but I try to avoid a lot of stuff. And that's one of them, is I try to avoid microwave. Not by no means saying I'm healthy, but it's kind of like hitting your hand with a hammer. If you know it's going to hurt and it's not good for you, I try not to do it. You know, I won't say I do everything the purest and the best, but okay, I can at least not do that. You know.
I mean, I try to stay away from soda. I'm just drinking like 3 bottles of water a day now.
I'll give you a little story. When I was doing my research on microwaves, and anybody can do this. Now, I hadn't done it myself. You can do it with plants too. But one of the first cases that got people raised their eyebrows about microwaves is a nurse warmed up some blood for a blood transfusion. She warmed up the blood with a microwave and it killed the patient because it changed the molecular structure of the blood itself.
Jeez.
But you can take a plant, from everything I've read, I hadn't done the experiment myself, and heat up some water in the microwave and let it cool down. Take 2 plants the same everything. Water one with that cooled down water, but microwave it. And then one with some just regular water, and you'll kill that plant that you microwave that water with. So that's just my conspiracy theorist topic of the night.
Note to self: no more microwaves. I'm with you, Warsaw, on that. I started drinking a gallon of water daily. basically 2 ounces, 2 ounces per. How's that work out? An ounce per 2 pounds of weight or something like that. Body weight's what you're supposed to take in water. So I started doing that 4 years ago when I'd put on some baby weight coming off the kids and stuff. And I dropped like 35 pounds the first year, and that's all I was doing. I was working out 3 times a week, but I was just drinking water, didn't ever touch a soda anymore. Now, I drink a cup of coffee. I don't put anything in it. I drink black coffee once a day, but all I drink is water. Well, and beer and whiskey occasionally. Well, a little more than occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Not right now, just usually. So. But I'm with you. Your body needs that water. It really does. I'm not big on Cokes anyway. Now I used to enjoy them, but now I drink when it tastes like I'm putting a spoon of sugar in my mouth because I haven't had them in so long. I used to drink Mountain Dews and stuff all the time.
Yeah, and I drink too many sodas. I'm guilty of that. I got to wean myself off of them. Like I said, you don't have to believe me on the microwave thing. Now, if you do some research on it, you won't really like what you find.
I don't. I like to set things out and let them thaw and then cook them and stuff. Really, and I'm not big on microwave use. I used to use it to thaw things all the time, but I'll set stuff out in the morning and let it just thaw. Whatever meat I'm going to cook, it'll sit out all day and just till it's at room temperature when I'm ready to cook it.
Or if it's a watertight, like it's vacuum sealed or something, I'll put it in a pot of water, warm water or whatever, if I want it to thaw early, quick.
Red October, huh? What do you think, TR?
As much shit we've stirred up in the Middle East, it wouldn't surprise me if we go to war with Iran, but my gut instinct tells me we're not. I don't think we are. We'll see.
Media will have a field day with it.
Yeah. We're spread out too thin and we've still got our fingers in too many countries already.
Yep.
I don't see it being feasible. And I think the American people have, especially after Iraq, have kind of woken up to scare tactics by the media and the government. I'm not saying they're not doing bad things. I'm not saying they're not funding terrorism and stuff, but I ain't saying they are either. I don't know. But the whole thing with the weapons of mass destruction and all that shit with Iraq, and it turned out to be okay. They might have been trying to do some things here and there, but for the most part, the whole story is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And the Middle East would be such a more peaceful place right now, and we wouldn't have a lot of immigrants in, especially Europe, if we hadn't have been fucking with Iraq and fucking with Syria and fucking with Yemen. Yeah, they might have been fucked up places, but like Saddam Hussein, those people need somebody ruling them with an iron fucking fist. I mean, like the whole point of it, one of the reasons, well, he killed 170 of his own people. Fuck, we killed probably 1 million in Desert Storm, not counting, and that's when we left him in power, not counting after that. It's like he killed 170 people, so we're gonna kill 1 million of his. What the fuck, And I say that just from calculations of, like I said, I was in Desert Storm. Don't make me an expert on any fucking thing, but we flew over 100,000 sorties in Desert Storm alone. When I was on the border, you went no more than maybe 2 minutes, without hearing a bomb drop. You could feel it in the ground. I could hear it in the air. It was distant, but you could hear it and I could feel it. 24 hours of 7, 24 hours 7 for a month or 2 months. 100,000 sorties. And one B-52 bomber is considered a sortie. One cruise missile is a sortie. One A-10 going out on a mission is a sortie. So if they just averaged 10 people per sortie, that was 1 million people. Just, I don't know what the numbers were, but you take a whole building out, I'm saying probably 30 got killed there, 10 there. Maybe nobody got killed there, but then we killed 50 here with it. You know what I'm saying? And when the B-52s laid down their carpet bombing that they was doing, it was 3 in a row. I don't know if it was 3 bombers or if one bomber had 3 payloads, but it would go on for 5 or 10 seconds. Just boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. It's a lot of fucking bombs. And that's considered one sortie. So I hope a lot of people in America woke up to what happened there. And I'm hoping that we don't make the same mistake and even fuck up the Middle East even more. Whether Iran's a shitty country or not, I really don't care as long as they keep to themselves.
Yeah, I think kind of with them though, they only respect a threat. They don't respect a person who's going to give in easily to them. And you know, our last president did plenty of kowtowing and drawing lines in the sand and backing off the lines in the sand. There's no respect for that kind of authority. That'll get you nowhere fast if you do that kind of stuff. What would get you is dumping pallets of money in Iran is what that'll get you.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things Trump's doing. The same thing with China and North Korea. Instead of bowing down and cowering down, it's like be tough with them. You know, they've been getting their way. Yeah, okay, we've imposed sanctions on them and stuff, but nobody's talked tough to them. Talk tough to them, buck up to them, just like a bully. Buck up to them. You don't have to swing a fist. You don't have to pull a weapon. But you got to bring something to the table. Just behind closed doors and doing a trade deal and passing sanctions and never confront them, never talk to them. That ain't going to get you anywhere.
Look where we were back in late 2017. We were heading for a sure war with North Korea.
Yeah.
And that could happen easy. He's crazy as a loon, but it didn't. It was some tough talk.
Mm-hmm.
Must have worked.
I would think most countries in the world know not to fuck with us. And I don't mean to sound like a warmonger or whatever, but if push comes to shove, no matter what, they don't want to go to war with us. I mean, even Russia, look how long we carried on with the Cold War. No matter how much we built up and put stuff here in this country and built up here and built up there, it was just a chess game, and nobody really wanted to go to war because there was going to be no winner. And I feel that way with Iraq and messing with Syria. No matter what we do, there really won't be a winner if you play these kind of games with the way we do war now. At best, if we annihilate a damn regime, just like in Iraq and Afghanistan, the vacuum sucks in another regime that's probably worse than what was there. Yeah, America's been meddling in the damn Middle East for way too damn long. Or at least they've been meddling too much. Yeah, even when Iran and Iraq was at war with each other, hell, we was funding both sides then.
And we funded the Mujahideen against the Soviet Union.
Oh, you sure? Yeah. With Afghanistan, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, the funny thing, Milsert Mike was saying until Trump gets rid of Bolton, a war with Iran is always a possibility. The funny thing is that all of those that thought that that was going to be the truth are now reaching out to Bolton to ask him to calm down the stuff that Trump's saying about him, you know, making a parking lot out of him and stuff like that. So I still say it's words, but the thing is it's words that can be backed up. You know, it can be. You don't want it to, but it can be.
Yeah. Yeah, Bolton is a warmonger, though. Yeah. And that is kind of ironic they're telling him to calm Trump down. But I think Trump's just, like I said, he's just posturing. Like, fuck you. Let's park our aircraft carrier off your coast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going to attack and declare war, but he likes flexing his muscle. And to a certain point, like, look at all the, just like we said, with North Korea, with China, China just in trade, not war with them, but just in trade. If nobody bucks up to them and nobody confronts them and makes them make a decision, well, fuck, they're going to do whatever the fuck they want. I know the media is making a big deal out of the tariffs with China, but it's like, I don't have a problem with it. I'm like, well, if they're putting tariffs on our shit, you know, 75, 100% on certain things and this, that, and the other, well, sure. Why would you not do the same to them? Even with Canada, you know, we struck trade deals with Canada because he imposed tariffs on their shit. It was taxing dairy products 275%. And you got Michigan right there beside them, making all this cheese, milk, and everything else. And it's like, well, you want to sell your cheese in Canada? Well, we're going to charge you 275% tax on it. So why would you not impose a tariff on them? Say, hey, you back down on your tariff, and we'll back down on ours. That's what the whole point of a tariff was. Well, not the only point, but kind of.
Very few things piss American people off more than high gas prices.
Yeah.
Hell, I'm pissed. I was paying $1.69 a gallon 4 months ago, and I'm back up in the $2.39 to $2.69 now.
Yeah, same here.
I drive too much every week for it to go up a lot.
Speaking of that, TR, what are your thoughts on the stuff we used to have imported to us, like from China and Russia? You know, like firearms, like say AKs from China, like and from Russia. You know, we used to have the good shit. You know, back in the old days.
Yeah. Now it is one thing that Clinton fucked up for us with China. That's what ended all the Norinco shit coming over. And there is some stuff now with Russia that there's some not tariffs, but just import bans on certain stuff that's fucked up the AK influx. That's from a biased point of view, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, but getting back to that, the Brady bill, that's one thing that was in it was stop importing things from China. Their excuse, still the stupidest thing, and I'll never forget it, was because it supported their military funding. And I've said it 100 times, I'll say it another 1,000. Everything you buy from China fucking funds their military. I don't care if it's a plastic fucking fork. It supports their military. It's a fucking communist country. Even if an American company wants to build a factory in China so they can build shit cheaper and avoid some taxes and this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. Say whatever company it is. Say Nike. They're in China. China owns 51% of that company. They can't own the majority of that company. China owns 51% minimum of every. From what I understand, unless somebody can correct me, this is the last thing I heard. China owns 51% of whatever company that is. I don't give a shit who it is. If Motorola wanted to go to China, well, China owns 51% of that, at least that factory, not the company, but that factory.
Mm-hmm.
So you're always funding their damn military. But yeah, it does suck. It was nice for getting those SKSs and AKs so cheap. And everybody thought they was shit back then. Now they're like, oh, you got an Norinco? That's some good shit right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to shoot. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Short stock. Fun to shoot.
Yeah, there you go.
When you're when you're
Nice.
6'4" American and the gun's made for a 4'9" Chinese man.
Hey, they can get real short. You got folding stock.
Yeah.
The little leather thing, I used to have, that was to fill in. The little leather thing fell off and I lost it. I don't know where the fuck it's at, but I had duct tape underneath it to give me a little padding. $200. That's what I pay for that. I should have bought crates of them son of a bitches. And so we joke about it at work. I'll say, you buy two. The SKSs were, when I got into guns as an adult, they were the average price was $69. Of course, $69 and even $200 was a little more money back then. Factor out inflation, but they were still dirt cheap. And ammo was really cheap. I could be wrong, but I want to say a box of 20 rounds of 7.62 by 39 was $1.
Shit.
I should have had, I've talked about this with my buddies many times. My coffee table in my living room should just be crates of fucking ammo with a fucking piece of plywood on top of it. I should have that shit stacked and packed everywhere. I swear it was $1 a box. At worst, I know for a fact it was $1.50, but I'm thinking when I first kind of got into it, it was $1 a box. It was like $100 for 1,000 rounds. Or whatever it equal to be. It was nothing. It was so cheap, you just took it for granted and you didn't stockpile it.
That was nowhere on my radar back then. I wish it had been.
No, crate's like what, $500 for a whole crate?
Yeah. I don't know. It was crazy. I remember even then I bought a SKS. Now I paid more I did pay $150 for mine because the Brady bill was being talked about or went through. And I got a paratrooper model, I guess it is. It's shorter than a normal SKS. And it wasn't a surplus. It was brand new, nice wood and all that shit. And still in the Norinco. But even then, I didn't think about buying several of them. I'm newly married, didn't really have money. Hell, I was feeling guilty about buying a $150 gun. But hindsight, should have got a credit card and maxed all them motherfuckers out. But I also never paid more than $70 for a Mauser. I got 3 Mausers. The most expensive one was $70. I paid 50, 60, and 70 for one. Oh, still got it. This is my most expensive one I bought. I still got it from show and tell on a private chat. A Swedish 6.5. Paid $70 for that zombie. Fire whip on it.
That's a beaut.
And this one's still before everybody figured out what that gunnery, what they call armory, what all these numbers meant on that badge. Mm-hmm. Once everybody started figuring that out, they started taking them off because it would tell you the bore. They bored them to let you know how much erosion had took place and stuff. And there was some other information. I forget what all was on there. This one's got a good bore.
How much is ammo for that now, or do you reload all your stuff for that?
I don't really. I have. I think. I don't even know if I bought dies for this yet. It's expensive. It's not cheap to shoot anymore. It's still. You catch it on sale, maybe $15 for a box of 20, but not surplus shit. You can't hardly find surplus anymore. Same thing with 8mm Mauser. I should have stocked up on that shit too, and I didn't. I got a few ammo spam cans for the 8mm. I seen it drying up, so I snatched a few of those. Because my other two are 8mm. I got 8mm Turkish Mauser. The first one I bought, I really don't know what it is. The damn crest and stuff wore off of it. I think it was actually used in World War II. I think it's German, but I have no idea.
So there's a crest. I mean, does it have an eagle on it?
I think so. I don't see any Nazi markings on it, but it seems like it has like a crest. It has a eagle on it, but it's like half worn off. I can't even read the year on it anymore.
It could be a Czech or a Polish.
It's very possible. I have no idea.
Because the Czechs and the Polish had their own Mausers as well before the Germans invaded them.
Yeah. I mean, for $50, it's a hell of a shooter and worth at least $250, if not more now. So it was a good investment. But even the Russian Mosin Nagants, as far as buying them for being a cheap shooter, you might as well go to Walmart and buy a damn Savage 30-06. There's no deals on that ammo anymore. Not enough to make it worthwhile. And actually, that's what I got spam cams for, is my damn Mosin Nagant, not the 8mm. I take it back.
8mm is fun to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did a video. I case forms 30-06 cases and made 8mm Mauser for it because it was ammo so expensive and I had a bunch of 30-06 cases. And I don't own 30-06, so I case formed them, and which ain't a big deal. You just run them anyway. Trim, you run them through 8mm dies, and you can make a 8mm round out of a 30-06. Because the head's the same size.
I think they did, didn't they? Well, I'm curious.
Spam cans of 8s.
I mean, there was the Yugoslavian. I know that they had.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah. Yeah, but it just hit me. That was the Mosin Nagant that I bought a couple of spam cans for. And I won. I know this, just in case. I know I've told this before, but I won my Mosin Nagant off a YouTube contest.
Nice.
Got serial number 666 on it. I shit you not. It wasn't. It is the serial number that they had to stamp on them when they imported them, but it's serial number 666.
Now, is that a carbine or is that a 9130?
It's a 9130, I would assume. It's just full length. It's about 10
Nice.
foot long with a bayonet on it.
You know, it's actually interesting with the Mosin. We actually, in Remington, they actually made our own Mosins here. Then we actually shipped them to the Russian Tsar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Remington actually did produce their own Mosins. I believe it was before World War I. Then they gave them to the Russian Tsar.
Wow.
So in some sense, we kind of armed the Bolsheviks. Shocker.
Yeah, Mosins was another good one. The surplus arms, that market's pretty much, that's what I kicked myself in the ass back in the, I'd say 90s when I started buying guns as an adult. And it was just one surplus run after another. And they are all so cheap. You go to the gun shows and they was M1 carbines for $125 and fucking just shit everywhere. It was just fucking flooded, but they were so cheap and you took it for granted. Like I said, even when the SKSs were hitting and hell, what was it, K31s or something. I think it was a Swiss 7.5 straight pull bolt guns. They were all like in really good condition, and this shit was just everywhere. And you just walk right by. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can remember walking by those 55-gallon plastic drums and stuff, just with stuff just crammed in them, just sticking out. I never even had it on my radar. It was always shotguns and revolvers and stuff that I was always looking at when I was in the sporting goods stores. The little ones in Franklin.
But yeah, that's what they say. Hindsight's 2020. There's a lot of things I wish I'd have done or bought or done different over the years. But I think the guns would have been a good investment because even the M1 carbine, I don't know what they go for now. During one of the last gun scares, they were going for $1,000, and I did eventually end up with one. Sold it for before any of the latest gun scares. So it's probably like 2006 or 7 or something. Sold it for like maybe $225, but I only paid like $100 for it, or some shit like that. Thought I done good, and then a year later, it's like, fuck, I could have got $1,000 for that damn thing.
It's funny that a lot of the American surplus is actually getting more expensive than the foreign surplus.
Oh yeah, try to buy M1 Garand.
$2,000.
Yeah, stuff that goes through the government auction stuff, it definitely gets marked up a lot.
I think they were talking about that on that last. Well, I guess there's still. I don't know how many are selling. If there's any left, they was talking about 1911s. They was going to let some out on the market again, and they were saying they were going to be $1,200 or $2,000. Buy them through CMP, and I've seen 1911s that in the military when I was in, and there were some beat up fucking guns.
Missing some bluing and paint.
Yeah,
you got to remember, like when I was in Desert Storm, all our officers still had, or anybody like office workers and stuff, anybody that would carry a pistol instead of a rifle, they had 1911s. Even though the M9 had hit and was in service, being we were a defensive unit, we wasn't up to date on everything because it wasn't as important. But they quit making 1911s in 1945 for the military. So any of them I saw then were minimum almost 50 years old.
Sheesh. Wonder how many rounds have been put through them.
A lot. I'm sure there's still some in good shape. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I saw several like where the slide stop had slid out and spun. Evidently, when they was shooting it, and there was just a groove cut in the slide and frame, a circle around them. I've seen a few of them like that. I'm assuming where it's wore the frame out so bad, the pin was just sliding out as they shot it.
Tool says they still work.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can go through them, and that's one thing about a 1911. I mean, you can tighten the frame up or tighten the slide up on the frame if it's worn out. You can actually put them in a vise, and they make tools to squeeze them in. And Put all new springs in it. Hell, throw another barrel in it, and fucking keep shooting. But yeah, I saw some beat up ones.
Fuzz says that we paid for them. We should get them back, no cost.
Good point.
That I agree with.
Speaking of that, they're actually doing that with the M9 out here.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt they may start selling them. I don't know. I could see them doing the M9. I mean, it's a semi-automatic. Everything else we got, for the most part, goes full auto, so they're never going to release those.
I mean, well, the M16s and M4s, they could convert them to semi-automatic form and then sell them on the market.
They could, yeah.
It'd be a lot of work, though.
Mm-hmm. And then the lower would still be cut out and have the extra hole in it for the fucking full auto sear. Not that you can't do that with a regular AR-15 if you got the tooling to do it. I mean, you can make any semi-automatic full auto. Now, the down and dirty way to do it is once you drop the damn chamber bolt, it won't stop until it's empty, even if you throw it on the ground.
Oh, not to mention if you want to become a criminal after we just violated an NFA rule.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you firsthand, if you don't clean a SKS long enough, she'll go full auto on you.
Well, that's what is that called again? That's slam fire, right?
Well, it gets so dirty, the firing pin sticks out and gets stuck. So every time the bolt drops, it's just. But you can let off the trigger, and it don't matter. It just keeps going till it's empty. I never had one go full auto, but I had one do a couple of bursts on me. It was like, bang, bang. What the fuck was that? And then I read about it. Yeah, the firing pin was stuck forward. Like I said, that's not a good way to do it, and I don't suggest it.
Yeah, there's really not much control when the firing pin is just stuck out there. It's just going to go. There's no stopping it.
Mm-mm.
The one that I won had the firing pin with the spring in it. Firing pin was fine, but the sear was slightly too polished at some point back down the line, and you could empty it or you could do burst with it.
Really?
So it got tried out and put immediately back in the case since it was a public range. Did a 3 round and a 6 round, took the last round out and done. It's fun.
Yeah.
I wish I could legally keep it like that. It's fun to shoot like that.
Yeah, Tool Monkey, he had a AR-15 slam fire on him. Which I've learned in reading. I think I got him over here. My show and tell behind me here. Anyway, if you're reloading a 223, I forget the brand names that has the hard primers. But I know CCI makes a number 41. It's made just for 223. It's a hard primer. Because the firing pin in an AR-15 doesn't have a spring in it. So it's floating. And if you ever chamber rounds in an AR-15 and just pull them out, just chamber it and pull it out, you'll see a dimple on the fucking primer. Because every time it chambers around, that primer, the firing pin taps the damn primer. And if you got, I forget who makes the softer ones. If you got the soft ones in there, it can go off. I ain't saying it will, but it can. It's a funny story. I ain't telling any secrets. He had just got into reloading. My buddy told me get there. He was chambering them, make sure they chambered good and they were cut right and all that. He didn't have a chamber checker at the time, so he had it pointed at the ground, or it was in his living room. And let go to chamber around, and the fucker went off. And his house was on a slab at that time, and he said he could see the bullet going under the carpet. It shot across the room. It made a little wave across the damn floor.
I bet he had to make some repairs.
Mm-hmm. Go clean the shorts out.
He said the Winchesters were the soft primers.
Okay.
That's a story I'm glad he lived to tell.
Yeah. It just goes to show gun safety. Always point a gun in a safe direction and assume it could go off, or whatever you point it at. You don't care if it goes off.
Always.
You just never know. There was a guy here local. Oh shit, I spelled that wrong. Here local shot his daughter, I think. Kid, anyway. Supposedly cleaning a gun. I kind of can see how it can happen, but at the same time, being around guns my entire life, and I'm not saying I cannot accidentally fire a gun, but it's almost hard to. It's just almost hard to imagine. There's some negligence there, period. Because you just don't point a gun at people. Unless you intend to. It's tragic. It happened, but I don't know.
You ever seen the video? What was it? Battlefield Las Vegas range where an AK was shooting semi-auto and then the hammer broke and it was actually bump firing because the hammer was not locking itself.
No, I ain't seen that.
Yeah, it was bump firing itself because the hammer wasn't locking. Because the thing literally just broke inside after so many rounds.
Yeah. It's mechanical. It's prone to failure, and some things fail and not what you expect. I guess the semi-automatic can fail in a... I could happen with AR-15, the little pawl that grabs a... I don't know all the technical terms, to be honest with you. The little pawl that grabs a sear, whatever, grabs a hammer. Mm-hmm. Hell, if that thing broke off at the tip of it, same thing. If it don't catch the hammer, she could go full auto on you. Anything's subject to failure. That's how I got a job. I work in maintenance, fixing machines and robots, because they were going to fucking break. I guarantee you.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have a job. I don't know if y'all seen this video. It's probably on YouTube, don't get me wrong, but I saw it on Facebook. I'm just going to go ahead and make a bold statement and call him an idiot. But the guy had a pistol. It shows it's like a camera at a gun range. And he's shooting a gun, and he's got like a guy beside him, like he's instructing him, or maybe it's his buddy, and he's just helping him out. And they have a laser on it, and evidently the laser's not working. And he keeps pointing the gun at his palm and mashing the button to get the laser to work. And then he ends up pulling the fucking trigger and blows a hole through his hand.
Idiot.
Yeah, I think I have seen that one.
The fuck were you doing?
Well, there's one I saw and I wasn't laughing. I was laughing for this guy being stupid to begin with, and not to mention the safety of his own kid. This guy was in India, I believe it was. Basically, he had a 45 Knights 11. He was checking it out, make sure it was loaded, puts it on the counter. His toddler son picks it up and he's playing with it. He actually points it at his dad's stomach and actually pulls around. It's stupid. Like, keep the gun out of reach of children, idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't fix stupid. But there again, I think we got too much safety in the world, and Mother Nature just needs to call out some people. These people don't need to reproduce. We've joked and said it before, you know, the little covers for your electrical outlets in the house. No, kids need to stick a fork in that shit. You know, there's some kids that just fucking need to do that. Either they'll learn or it's okay, there's another one called out, you know. That kid was going to grow up and be a fucking idiot and reproduce.
Probably because he didn't learn his actions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Greg's out there. Was that Greg that said that? Who was it? No, that's SoCal. Darwin was right. Now, one thing, I didn't have kids. I did have nieces and nephews, and one of the things I did with them, not saying I'm fucking perfect or anything, but when they were small, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you what they were, 8, 10 years old, whatever. It was a niece and a nephew. Anytime they come to visit, and we kind of helped raise them. So they were a big part of my life then anyway. I taught them how to shoot. And anytime they came over, 22 rifles, they were, you know, if they wanted to shoot, we'd go outside and we'd target practice. And, you know, and they just knew that. And I taught them gun safety. My theory was, just like my dad did, he took the curiosity out of it. And he instilled the safety aspect of it, the dangers of it, with not being an asshole about it, not being, you know, like trying to scare the shit out of them, just being realistic with them. And so when they came over, I let them shoot if they wanted to shoot, and we had fun. You know, went over all the safety, and they knew. My theory was, if they ever at a friend's house and one of their friends is showing a gun, their curiosity won't get the best of them to want to touch it and want to play with it, because they know they can go to Uncle Roger's anytime they want and shoot all day long. And they've done it before, and they don't need to touch this gun. You know, that was my theory. I don't know. No, they didn't get shot, so I guess it worked. Yeah, and we'd shoot fun stuff. It wasn't like trying to put their bullets on paper either. It was shooting cans or gallon jugs with water on it so they could see the reaction. You know, it wasn't a cartoon. You know, I mean, it was, you see what happens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, guys, we're at the 2-hour mark. You got anything else y'all want to talk about?
You got me drifting off into the old Darwin Awards. Looking, I haven't read them in many years, and and I go immediately to a gun named Lorena, guy in Arizona, shot his own cock and balls off, carrying commando or in a grocery store of all places. Shot himself in the meat aisle trying to adjust his gun. Yeah, that one's one that needed to be castrated for sure.
He didn't need to reproduce.
Could be bleeding all over the floor.
God, we have a cleanup in the meat department. Twigs and berries on the floor. Shake him out his leg. I hadn't read those Darwin Awards probably since the guy who put the jet engine in the old, the late model, what was it, a Caprice or something like that, took it out in the desert, kicked it in, melted the wheels, the tires off of it, and went into a bluff.
Oh, really? Okay. I was thinking there was one that actually got airborne and crashed into a mountain or some shit.
Yeah, it's the one. They tried to describe it like how it would happen as he was being forced into the seat by the G-force, and then eventually the wheels just melted, the tires melted off the wheels sparked off, and then it got so fast that it went airborne and went into the side of a bluff and just created a crater. I think that's about the last time I remember the Darwin Awards. But yes, we have
something similar to that here the other day. I don't think anybody, well, I don't know if anybody got hurt or killed. Probably got hurt anyway. It was, what was it? It was something I saw on Facebook where they had, it was like a vehicle and they had a big parachute on it, and maybe it was more like a big ultralight or something anyway, but it was like, yeah, they took off out of this field and was heading off, and the camera was about to pan away, and it's like they didn't have good control of altitude or whatever, and it just crashed right into a fucking building, you know. That didn't work out. I don't know, Cobra. I think he did. There's a guy trying to prove that
flat
the world
Earth
is
rocket
flat.
man finally blast off in homemade rocket to prove Earth is flat. As article from Science thing from back in 2018, March of 2018. So a little over a year ago, he did actually blast off. There's a YouTube video on it too. Guess he was sad. He's a little disappointed.
Yeah.
If he survived.
Yeah, I seen some chatter on that. I looked into the flat Earth thing. I was like, this has got to be a fucking joke, and got to one website where there's a forum, and it's like, I think some of these people are actually fucking serious.
Yeah, he survived. Says he came to a hard landing in the Mojave Desert. It left him injured, but he survived. He was a rocket scientist who believed the Earth was flat.
Ain't that kind of an oxymoron?
Yeah, it is. Lord.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist, don't get me wrong, but there's some things it's just like, what? Really? What the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Let me see if I can. I want to see if I can. I'm gonna share this in the side chat just so Cobra can get to it.
I mean, I believed in Bigfoot before I believed the Earth is flat.
There, Cobra. That'll keep you from having to search.
I did see a good meme the other day. It showed a rally for Bernie Sanders. I forget where it was at, but it was a rally for Bernie Sanders, and it showed a little crowd. Same location. There was a Bigfoot convention, and it was like fucking 5 or 10 times as many people there. So the meme was like, more people believe in Bigfoot than they do Bernie Sanders.
There's hope.
Speaking of that, TR, what's shocker with Bernie? He's actually suggesting giving back the rights to the criminals, the right to vote
Oh yeah,
while
yeah, I
they're doing
saw
their
that.
time. It's ridiculous.
It's not giving it back to them after they get out of prison. He wants them to be able to vote while they're in prison, serving
Exactly.
their sentence.
It's stupid. They already lost their right to vote.
Yeah. And here's the kicker. One of his points was they have constitutional rights. Well, okay, so does that mean they can still buy a gun while they're in prison? That's a constitutional right.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't really think so.
They're selective
have
about what rights they want to make okay, even if you're incarcerated.
Yeah, you know, they have a Fourth Amendment right, so that means the prison guards and stuff can't rifle through their shit. You know, I mean, okay, you want to go down that road? Let's go down that road. Does that mean he can tell the damn warden to fuck off in his face because he's got a First Amendment right? I think not.
Going after their voting block.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing with the immigrants.
I just can't wait for that wall to be built.
Yeah, no shit.
Or the minefield.
And I heard somebody talk about it on talk radio today. It's not so much letting the illegal immigrants in. It's not so much that they may get a right to vote, even though they're counting on that too, whether they're illegal or not. Because they're even saying they should even vote. If they come in and have a kid, the way the regulations and laws are written right now, that kid would be an American citizen and then vote later on, building the base, like you say. And as soon as Hispanics, Latinos, whatever the proper term is, as soon as they start flipping conservative, they'll build a fucking wall quick and hard. You'll be able to see it from space. Be like the Great Wall of China.
With the big military presence.
Yeah. I still say fuck a wall, just make it make the entire border the shooting range for the military. With no posted times, no posted warnings. You know, they may practice A-10s at 2:00 in the morning. You know.
Well, if Mexico's want to play safe with us, why not we? They illegally crossed our border and took 2 of our boys.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
That's close to an act of war in my book.
I don't see how that's that big a deal.
You know, it's funny. We even supply them arms.
I'm sure we do. Well, hell, I know we do. We supply their cartels with arms.
So could we carpet bomb the whole thing and make a trench instead of a wall?
Why not?
It's the new canyon.
I mean, I've been on military shooting ranges. Yeah, if you want to try to cross that, go right ahead. I mean, it's true for Americans on a military shooting range, just like it would be. It's the military fucking shooting range, or whatever they call it. They maybe have another term for it. I mean, if that's what you want to do, go right ahead. I think it's a great idea. I know when I was qualifying for the M16, it split the group in half, and they had a berm built up, and it was actually a concrete structure built, and then a dirt on top of it. And if you was changing the targets out, you was sitting there watching the bullets hit, you know, and go across your head. And it was in a forest, and it was like you seen the tree line, you know, this way up here, and it looks like it got a flat top. No telling how much lead and copper was down that range. And no matter what they say, them trees were still growing. They could only get so high, though. All right, let's wrap this up so everybody can go to bed. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Y'all want to do an outro? I'll start with you, Warsaw.
All right. Hey, it's got a video that's going to be coming out sometime next week, so just be ready for that. Besides that, not much is going to be happening. And I appreciate the invite, TR.
Anytime, man. Insight, would you like to do an outro, man?
Yeah, it's about to get fun. Kids are out of school after tomorrow, lining up stuff for the summer. Hopefully some more time for videos. Hope everybody has a good weekend and Memorial Day, remembering what it's about and being thankful. So I'll be doing that on Monday and throughout the weekend. Hope y'all all join me. Thanks for side chat's been incredible tonight, but hanging out with you too has been fun too. So thanks for the invite, TR. Appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you jumping in, man. Both of you guys, I appreciate it. We had a good chat. I know we bounced around a lot, but that's the way my chats go. And I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I had a long day at work, and it's good to be able to just relax and talk about some stuff. We can talk about serious stuff, talk about bullshit, whatever, and joke around. To me, it's a good release. It's a good wind down time for me. So thanks, everybody, and we're going to sign off, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks, and we'll do it again. And just like Insight said, Memorial Day is to remember the ones that fell, that are fallen soldiers, not the ones that's in the military now. A lot of people get that mixed up. So anyway, later, everybody. See ya.